Hello and welcome to episode 1320 of The Sleeper and the Bust. It is Thursday, July 18th. I'm your host, Paul Sporer. Joined this afternoon by Justin Mason. Justin, good day.
Good afternoon. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I remembered that it was 1320, even though I didn't write it on the sheet. I'm like Ron Burgundy. I gotta see it. And I'll read whatever's there, but I didn't this time. I fought through my Ron Burgundy tendencies to call it 1319 again. It is
You
indeed
weren't
1320.
gonna say "fuck you, San Diego"?
No, no. And I also didn't say good morning to you because it's afternoon. So
Mm-hmm.
I got my ducks in a row. I'm running hot right now. I'm just coming off a stream. I got another pod right after this. So we are going. And we're gonna talk outfield today. I wanted to give kind of like a bonus ep this week to make up for nothing last week. And we're doing our tour around the diamond to look at the first half and how things are going and how things might go in the second half for a handful of players. Let's look at the top 20 in the outfield. Obviously, it's deeper. There are some amazingly surprising names early, Justin. Like the top two, you can probably guess them off the top of your head. It is the two Yankees, Judge and Soto. They're unbelievable, of course, right? Number three is All-Star MVP Jarren Duran. Number four, Jordan Alvarez, stud, right? That makes sense. 15th
Mm-hmm.
overall pick. Number five is that boy Brenton Doyle. Yo, we love backpatting each other. We were on Brenton Doyle coming into the season. That's one you got from here. Okay, I told you not to take Ellie, but at least I told you to take Brenton Doyle, right? Got to have
Yeah.
some hits in there. If we're going to have some colossal misses, I got to at least get some wins in there. And Brenton Doyle, big on him this year. 15 homers, 20 steals, and a 276 average. He's looked really nice. Another big surprise here. Maybe shouldn't have been. If as good as Brent Rooker was last year, maybe shouldn't be a surprise that he is here again. I'll have a question for you as to whether or not he's going to be doing the same stuff in Oakland in the second half. But we can talk about that in a moment. Number seven, Jurickson Profar. Holy smokes, what a season he's had. If you've held him all of this time in Dynasty, I want to hear from you. Yes, if you are the one person in the history of the world that has held Jurickson Profar in a Dynasty League through this entire
No
run,
way. There's no way. Like
I'm
there's just
just, there has to be
nobody.
one. There has to be
No, I
one. Does
don't.
that
I
one
don't.
person listen to us? I have hope. Somebody make up a story, but make sure it's
Yeah.
compelling. Um, no,
Unless you went into a
I doubt
coma
it.
for a few years, and your league just said, like, you know what, we're gonna let Jeff
Aren't
just keep his
don't you
team
keep your whole
intact.
team? You keep your whole
Yeah.
team.
You wake
It
up
would have
from
been
that
tough.
coma. Yeah. There's no way. I just
It
don't.
would
I
it
don't
would
buy
have
it.
been really tough. I do agree. I'm not saying that it's very plausible, but it's not. I mean, I guess the tough part though too is it couldn't just be a single league because he's played AL and NL. If it was a single league, I could maybe buy it. If someone just like if he was AL for his whole career profile and somebody just held him this whole time, I could maybe buy it. But yeah, being mixed league, there's some seasons there where it's like, why would you be holding him? But anyway, he's been amazing this year. He sits number seven on the outfield list. Eight is Yelich, bounce back season. I mean, he's back. He was back last year, actually. I shouldn't even say bounce back season, but like he's fully back. I felt like he was a pretty good value in the drafts. Injuries, obviously, a lingering concern with his body at age 32, but on a per plate appearance basis, he's fantastic. 161 WRC plus for Yelich so far this year. Number nine is Spencer Steer. We've talked about him at first and third. He checks in top 10 for the outfield as well. Brian Reynolds at 10. Brandon Nimmo at 11. Kyle Schwarber at 12. Home run derby winner Teoscar Hernandez at 13. Your best buddy, Riley Green, at 14. I shouldn't even
Mhm.
pin that on you. Neither of us are terribly high on him
I
ever. And he
oh,
just keeps dominating.
I already did my mea culpa a few weeks ago with Eric Smolsky on
On
Riley
Riley
Green.
Green.
So,
Yeah, exactly. So you've covered that. I'm a convert too, and it was just one of those things where I wasn't sure that he was going to be this good, and I hope he continues to be. I've been loving it, especially the power. 17 homers for him, 17 homers in just 340 plate appearances for number 15 on the board. Alec Burleson. He has stormed up there, and you know what's really done it? Seven steals. When you see Alec Burleson, you do not think seven steals. I'm sorry, that's a judgment that we make. We see a portly, bearded dude, and we're just like, nah, that guy ain't running. And he's got seven steals. Anthony Santander, one of your faves, sitting 16th.
mhm.
A show fave, Ian Happ, quietly at 17. I am very surprised by that. And as much as I do love him over the years, I don't really have Happ anywhere. 15 homers, seven steals, 57 runs and 53 ribbies as well. Stephen Kwan at 18 with the big batting average, of course, at 352, and a sneaky 9 homers. That's a great number for Kwan, because normally what you're contending with is getting a real power zero. Mookie Betts still hanging on at 20 with 331 plate appearances, and then Kyle Tucker at 20. I said 20 for Betts. He's 19, and then Tucker's at 20. What do you think of this top 20 here? It's a real mix of classic foundational studs and big surprises. It's kind of either or. It doesn't seem like there's much quote unquote in between.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big things is that 5, 6, 7 of guys that
Doyle,
Brett
Rooker, Profar.
Rooker, Doyle, Profire. I mean, there were people who were in on Doyle, you being one of them, Jason being another. I took Doyle in like Tout Wars or something like that, just that like in the reserves. I think, oh my god, I feel like I dropped Doyle at some point.
Oh no.
I think I'm pretty sure I did. Now I've got to go look. Like I like there were some people in on Doyle. There was some, but like nobody was in on him. I mean, his ADP was 373. Jerk to Profar's ADP was 629.
Profar's the one that
Yeah.
really, because people had moved on, and rightfully so. And here he is with 14 homers. Let's stay on Doyle real quick because you started with him. Are you you said that you weren't huge on him. It was Jason and I that were really driving that train. But like power, speed, in cores, gimme just all the time. Kind of hoping that he could fix some of that strikeout rate, and he has. It's down to 25% after it was 35% for Doyle last year. So that's a big difference. Are you buying in this? Do you believe in Brenton Doyle as a fantasy thing, or is this the next Nolan Jones where it's running hot and it's going to come crashing?
No, I actually do completely buy this because he's made a really big change in his contact profile. He's gone from a guy who last year was a 79% zone contact, which is below that 80% threshold that I quote all the time, up to 86.5, which is right around league average, or maybe even a little bit above. He's also dropped his O swing 4%. Swing strike rate has dropped almost 5%. Like these are really, really good improvements in like a core skill that I think is the most important core skill for a hitter. And while doing that, he has not sacrificed power. So what we often see is guys who go, "Hey, listen, I'm going to try to make more contact," but they give up the power to be able to do that. Doyle hasn't done that. Max velocity is right in line with what it was last year. His barrel percentage is up 2%. His hard hit percentage is up 6.5%. Like he has actually gained power while doing this. Now, does it come back down to earth a little bit? Probably. Like his XBA is 260. But like if you're getting a 260 hitter with power and speed, like that is like a second, third round pick. And you got him outside of the top 300, I think it was. So 373. So I think Brent Doyle is one of those guys who's gonna being a league winner for a lot of people. Just not me, because I did drop him in Tout Wars.
Yeah, that is tough. But to get you off the hook a little bit, he had a 694 OPS. Brenton Doyle did coming into July. He has ripped 8 homers this month to really make his first half look saucy. I don't say that to like negate it or anything, but I do understand some shallow league cuts, especially if you didn't need the speed. He was delivering speed early on. That was one of the reasons that helped me keep Brenton Doyle in the main event where I have him, was 19 steals through June. So that was pretty good with 7 homers, but he was hitting 254, 316, 379. This power surge has been excellent in July, and exactly why Brenton Doyle looks so good. And then you got Rooker. Should we being the industry at large, right? Because he was not terribly expensive. Was it right to go all the way down to 296 ADP, or should he have been like top 200 type pick, Brent Rooker?
I think it was fine. Like I think the reasons why he dropped made a lot of sense. I mean, he does strike out at a 30% clip. He's continuing to do that this year. He's a guy that has been known to be thrown into platoons at times.
Short side ones at that.
And it's the short side. So I think the reasons we may have not wanted to do that or shouldn't have done that are kind of the obvious ones. He plays on the A's, where like there's just not a lot of competition.
Yeah.
And he he came off of a season last year in which he hit 30 home runs. Like, yes, are there like kind of weird like anomaly seasons for guys? Sure, but I mean, 30 home runs is still 30 home runs. We're playing in a game in which power is at a premium. And yeah, he probably should have been higher in the ADP. I know that I expected a big step back, kind of in my projections,
Mm-hmm.
and that ends up being a massive mistake, obviously. But I mean, I'm not going to beat myself up too much over it. I just wish I had gotten a few more shares.
Yeah, and Rooker certainly could have been higher, but I don't think like aggressively so. This is a process. Obviously, right now, yes, you say, well, of course, he's hitting 291 with 21 homers. Yes, he belongs higher. But we're talking process versus results here. The process I still think made sense. This was a random power spike for all we knew at age 28 on a bad team, like you said.
Yeah.
So I don't think it was an unfair price. I respect anybody who believed in him. We talked about how we were really impressed with kind of the way he talked about the game and the way he analyzes hitting. That really, for me, did give it a little bit more credence that I thought he could stick around here. That said, I still wasn't touting him. I don't have him on a bunch of leagues. The team context was a big reason, but he's been excellent. Brent Rooker's having
Yeah.
a wonderful follow up. And I do think that he has to get traded, right? He's 29 years old. He's doing it again. They have to trade him, no?
I mean, I would assume so, but I would have thought they would have traded him last season.
The
And
only
I
thing
mean,
I'll say is that the returns just won't be big. Power corner outfielders, they just don't get big returns.
he's a bad defender. Like
Exactly.
it's
That's what I'm saying. That's all he brings. So there's no defense with it. He's really a DH basically. And so A's fans, just keep it tempered because this is not going to be valued in the market at an amazing clip. He also has a 391 BABIP, so I don't think anyone's going to really believe in the 291 average
he
for
also has
Rooker.
3 more years of control. Like,
That is nice, but Oakland should still trade him. He'll be 30 next year. He's not
sure,
going to be around for the
absolutely.
next
But
great
like,
team.
if you're not gonna get him, if you're not gonna get like a ton back for him,
The
like
control should help. The control should help, but like, what level do we think? What kind? I mean, I don't want to hold you anything too tight, but like, what are you thinking? Like, okay, so here's a rumor: the Phillies are prioritizing finding a right-handed hitter to add to their outfield mix. So let's focus on the Phillies,
mhm.
and we know Trader Dave has no problem dealing some prospects there, so he might even pay on the higher end. What would you think a higher end return could be that for Rooker with 3 years, but also a corner who's going to be 30 next year?
I mean, I
Are
think
we?
you're looking at like two lower end guys that maybe have some upside.
Would you
So
take? Would you do? No, never mind. I was gonna say a Ryan Kirkring. I don't think they want to take him out of this bullpen right now. He has been
no,
fantastic.
I don't think you get a major league ready player. Like, I honestly think like for a guy like Rooker, maybe you take like you know two kind of young low A guys and hope that like they turn into something. Like,
Yeah, take two tickets at something real as opposed to like a
yeah,
26th man type of guy from AAA.
yeah. I mean, maybe like someone like I don't know. And I'm just like randomly scrolling through there. I don't even know who these guys are, but like,
You're just going off the
like
grades then, right?
yeah,
You're just
yeah. I'm
going
just
off the
going off
grades.
grades. Like like their 16th prospect, Jordan VRs, is a 21-year-old outfielder in low A. He's a third round pick in 2021. Maybe a guy like that paired with I don't know, maybe someone in rookie ball.
It's
You know,
really funny that you mention VRs because I haven't mentioned it in a while, but I talk OTP all the
your
time.
OTP, is he like a star now in
Dude,
your?
last year there was a league. He became like a three-time home run leader, dude. I swear.
Yeah,
So that's
see,
how,
there
that's
you
the
go.
only reason I know that name is because he literally became a monster, and I just love when guys like that then do pop up on the landscape. So that could be kind of interesting. That
Yeah,
that
I
type
mean,
of
someone
guy.
like that, and maybe a rookie league, ball guy. Like, I don't think you're going to get much for a bad defender.
I
The
agree.
question too becomes like, how interested would a team like Philly be in a guy like Rooker because he's so bad defensively? It seems like they've tried to do their best to like build a really good defensive outfielder or defensive outfield with, Johan Rojas and Brandon Marsh. So like I don't even know, and they have Schwarber DHing. So like I don't even know if that would even be like the best of fit
Well,
for.
here's the thing, though. I think it could be a good fit, but I wonder would he lose some PT, Rooker?
And that would be a problem because
Because
he would
then
clearly be on the short side of the
yeah.
platoon. So I mean,
I was just going
I'm
off this rumor, but it sounds like based on that rumor that I read here, it was a Matt Gelb rumor. Isn't that just Nick Castellanos? So do they want another
yeah.
Castellanos, or does the guy have to be a good defender too? Because yeah, if that's the case, then Rooker's not a great fit there. But the bottom line is he's not going to bring back a ton just because of corner outfielders that are a bit older, even with the team control. It's just not going to be there for
Yeah.
Rooker. So just keep that in mind.
You know what might be like an interesting fit would be my Giants. As a
Ooh,
guy who, like because they're a team that is
they love
pretty
old
low and
guys.
they love old guys. They love to like buy kind of like these guys at the deadline that aren't like major impact dudes, but they
Mm-hmm.
also lack power. He could platoon with Yastrzemski, or and potentially DH on the days where he's not in the outfield. So like it wouldn't cost a ton. The Giants don't, I think, want to like spend a ton of their prospect guys or their equity in that department. So like I think the
Yeah,
Giants might be a really interesting fit for a guy like Rooker. It wouldn't be great for his fantasy value,
it wouldn't bother
but
me though.
being
He can hit.
being a
He's in
righty,
Oakland.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
and being a righty is like isn't as bad as being a lefty in
wouldn't
San
have to
Francisco.
move
But
either, so that can help.
yeah, yeah,
Good. That'd be good
yeah.
for him. So
He
yeah,
could just
that,
take Bart over. Yeah.
boom, easy peasy for Brent Rooker there. So, but anyway, he's been fantastic again. It's been awesome. We talked Burleson. 17-7 in less playing time than everybody too. What
Yeah.
do you make of Alec Burleson for the second half? He's been snapped up most places. In fact, if he hasn't, remedy that. There might be some
Mhm.
lingering 10 teamers where you can get him. But do we have something here with Burleson? Do you believe?
I don't know if I believe to this extent, but like there's nothing in the profile that says he should like fall apart. I think one of the biggest issues for Burleson has always been just being able to find consistent playing time.
Yeah.
And like they're because of other guys being injured and other guys not performing well, he's gotten that.
That's what
Um,
it is. Like Walker and Carlson, because remember, this is, they all came up together
and
and
then
Burleson
Newbar
was,
got hurt.
yep.
Like like
And Burleson was always down the line from that because of everyone else. The prospect hounds, I count myself among them. I'm not a prospect hound, but like as prospects, I liked all those other guys better. And then here's Burleson, the last guy standing.
Edmund never debuted, right? Because he just
Yep.
continued to
And
has
Burleson's
cut back.
such a Cardinals guy, dude.
Yeah,
He's like
he
just
totally is.
another like Brendan Donovan without the ability to play the infield,
Who
except for
was the
first
guy?
base.
What was the guy that had a good few years with the Cardinals?
Alan Craig.
Yeah,
I,
that's
I knew who he, I knew it.
that is a good.
Exactly.
I thought he was a stud,
Exactly.
but like,
He was the only. Hey,
I mean, it was
hey,
for a few
Alan
years. Yeah,
Craig. Alan Craig was a stud, dude. The only thing that stopped the wrench was health. Don't let
yeah.
anybody tell you otherwise. And don't look at his age 29 season when he played horribly. That's fake. That's fake. So AI put that there. All right, but yeah, Burleson, I agree. I'm not going to sit here and extrapolate the 17 homers and 7 steals, but I do believe that there is some legitimacy here, and he's an everyday guy. Cardinals very clearly believe in him, so I'm not worried from that aspect either. Anyone else in the top 20 here that you want to talk about before we start dipping outside the top 20?
I mean, shout out to Ian Happ and turning his season around.
Yeah, let's talk about that because that shocked me.
Yeah, I mean, because if you drafted Ian Happ, you may have already cut him and have not gotten the goodness. From the beginning of the season up until the end of May, he was hitting 223 with 6 home
Ooh.
runs and 2 stolen bases. Since then, since the beginning of June, he has hit 9 home runs, stolen 5 bases in 273, 389, 568. Been a huge part of this Cubs kind of turnaround is, helping getting the offense going, especially without Cody Bellinger being available quite a bit. So, I mean, I love I love Ian Happ. I've always been an Ian Happ believer, especially since he turned into that stud after hitting 2 home runs in the first game of opening day.
We won that. We won that prediction when we were so correct about that.
Yeah, we took a victory lap after like the first at bat of the Major League Baseball season.
He hit the first pitch out. He was like one of our big breakout picks that year. We were like, dude, texting each other like crazy.
It's happened.
And he did not have a very good season the rest of the way, by the way, folks. Let me ask you something about him real quick with Ian Happ.
Mm-hmm.
What do you take away from something like this if you did cut him? 6 homers, 2 steals, and what'd you say, like 223 average through 2 months?
Yeah.
He's a 174 ADP. I tell anybody, you got to give at least 2 months to somebody drafted in the top 200. But then if they had asked me, it would depend obviously who they were cutting, but I'm not sure I would have said don't cut him. Is this one where you just say sometimes those guys turn it back around and you shrug and you move on because that's part of our game? Or is there something that you see that you can take away from this and say, oh, maybe we shouldn't have cut Ian Happ when things were going poorly?
I think it was okay to cut Ian Happ when things were going poorly in like 10s and 12 team leagues.
Yeah.
Just because Ian Happ isn't one of those guys that is like a massive needle mover. He's not a Royce Lewis, right? Like he's not a guy that's going to go on and hit 30 home runs. He's more of like a premium accumulator.
Yeah, he kind of needs volume.
Yeah, and so when those guys are struggling like really badly in your shallow leagues, I have no problem. I think for people, if you dropped him in a 15-team league, that's where I would have a problem, right? And this is why, like when I do like my chats and stuff, like I make sure I tell people like, hey, I need league size, format, everything, because like these are these are the kind of differences. Like when you go, hey, should I hold on to Ian Happ? I would have been okay dropping, and I'm sure I did tell people to drop him in 10 and 12 team leagues. But I would not have been okay dropping him in a 15 because like you're not finding huge difference makers on the wire that easily. And I feel like Ian Happ's one of those guys that, like he started off slow, but I think overall for a season, like he has a pretty high floor, which is what I love in these kind of deeper formats.
And I don't think that the projections really ever gave up on him because I don't think Ian Happ, when he was struggling, I don't think his core skills were completely out of line. In terms of like the strikeout and walk rates.
There were some dips and stuff. Like, I mean, he definitely like the contact numbers were down. But I also think that like Ian Happ is one of those guys that because he has such a patient approach, like sometimes you just need a little bit more time to get things going when you're that patient at the plate, right? Yep. You see so many pitches. And when they're cutting, when they're hitting you on the corners and you're not able to, swing at those. Like it just takes a little bit more time to kind of dig your way out of that. And I think Happ's one of those guys. So I was patient with Ian Happ in the leagues where I have him, and I'm now kind of benefiting from that. But I totally understand people who did move on, especially in those shallow formats.
Yeah, I think in the shallow formats, it is justifiable. And you just say that's part of it. That's part of playing shallow is that you're going to cut guys like that and they come back around. You can't beat yourself up over all of those because you're getting some of those too, right? You pick up somebody that was struggling and he hits for you. That's that same concept because that's the nature of those 10s and 12s. And I harp on that honestly because it was something that I struggled with. And I've talked about it before. Like that does mess me up sometimes in those formats where I don't want to cut somebody because I will agonize over an Ian Happ coming back around, especially if it's one of my favorites. It's one thing if it's just a Johnny come lately, but if it's a guy I dig, I'm like, but I've gotten better at that. And I just stopped playing those leagues as much too, which is a good way to deal with it since I'm not as good in that format. All right, so Ian Happ, yeah, we love what he's doing. Anybody else in the top 20, or you want to start talking about some guys we think can jump into that top 20?
One guy I want to talk about who's just outside the top 20 is Jackson Merrill, because I think it's a really, really good conversation on the heels of Ian Happ, because I think he's he's Ian Happ without the walks. And like I did not get any Jackson Merrill because I looked at him as what he is kind of a premium accumulator. Like he's a guy who like all he does, like he doesn't do anything great, but he does hit the ball and he does a little bit of everything. And if he can get plate appearances, then he could be really, really valuable. And he's gotten these plate appearances, which I didn't think were going to be available in San Diego.
Okay.
And so like I ended up being kind of wrong on Jackson Merrill for the right reasons. I just didn't see where the path to playing time was coming from. And, like with Tatis, his issues and other guys just not performing in San Diego, like he's found this kind of everyday role. And like, I think he's going to continue to kind of do this. Like, I don't think there's major growth coming in the power speed department. And so he needs this everyday playing time, but he's playing every day and there's no reason why he won't continue to.
Yeah, I love Jackson Merrill. He was a guy that the reasons I don't have him is just somebody jumped me. He was a target. The reasons I liked him, like the playing time thing made sense, but I thought he was priced fairly enough to where you're talking like that 15 to 18 round range where if it doesn't come, okay, I can kind of figure it out. I liked the infield, outfield capability, and he felt like late batting average, which I continue to struggle with. And what's my biggest problem this year? Batting average. And his 278 for 350 plate appearances will look so nice in my lineup right now, but I just ended up not getting Maryland either main. But I do believe in him, and I think he's a guy who can stick around and continue to linger within this top 20 to 30 range. So he's definitely a favorite. I know things haven't gone super well for Julio Rodriguez folks, but like kind of shut up. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be mean. 10 homers, 18 steals, 267. If you're losing, it's for other reasons, right? Like let's make sure it's not misplaced anger here. And there can be frustration. I get it. He hasn't been number 3 overall pick, right? Okay,
He's
cool.
still a top 25 outfielder. Like
And
he's like,
this is what you get with these guys, though,
yeah,
is this floor, generally speaking, right? Nobody's a guarantee. That's the whole
it's
point of this game.
don't talk to the Corbin Carroll.
No, and I get it. I get it, right? Because like even the floors are wobbly, right? That's the thing. When we talk floor, we're still talking like 60th, 70th percentile. We're not, there's obviously still the bottom half of their outcomes, which will be horrible. But we can only accommodate for that so much. But yeah, I look at like the fantasy production with J Rod and I'm like, okay, he's going to be fine. It's a 101 OPS plus, and that's a little irksome from a guy that you expect so much out of. Nice little 3 homers in 12 games to go into the break. Hopefully he catches fire coming out. Don't freak out though, folks. That's all. You know who I want to talk about following up nicely after last year? A guy that I've been a fan of. Again, got jumped on this year. Didn't really get him where I had him, but I love Lourdes Gurriel Jr. He jumped up big last year, 2023. Nice rebound season with 24 homers, 82 ribs, 5 steals, 1356 and 4 so far this year with a 264. He's sitting just outside that top 20 right there at 25. What do you think of Lourdes Gurriel Jr. this year?
I mean, he's another one of these guys that I feel like are kind of a premium, accumulator type where like he's not a big power dude. He doesn't have a ton of speed, but as long as he's making consistent contact, like he can be really, really valuable, especially, hitting in that Arizona lineup when it's going. And I mean, what he's done this year is kind of just a replication of what he did last year, which was make a lot of contact. And so it is very, very intriguing. Like, I think he's probably going to just kind of repeat what he did last season, which was put up 24 home runs and have a good batting average. And so,
Yeah.
like, I don't think like there's a big jump coming or at any point or anything. Like, nothing in the numbers suggests like that he's like gonna like push himself in like the top 10 in outfield. But I think what he can do is kind of continue to do what he's doing. And at the end of the year, you're looking at a line that you go, hey, I didn't have to pay very much for him. Everybody kind of slept on him. And, you're kind of, he's a great glue guy for your outfield.
Absolutely. And that's what I love about Gurriel Jr. He is that glue type. Never really going to be a premium. 231 ADP. Cool.
Yeah.
Could cover a bust and give you real upside if he hits again, and he has hit again. Love a guy like that. We got to talk old Jazz Chisholm Jr. Also draws a little ire from folks because hasn't quite been top of the scale. But again, you're getting the fantasy production. 12 homers, 18 steals. Like there's still something there, even though he is only 26th at the outfield after being drafted 68th overall. My question to you, though, of course, is going to be where does he reside in the second half?
That's a really, really good question. I'd love it to be my Giants. And the Giants have been linked to him. I don't know if, and I've not been
That
a
would
big,
be a sick pickup. I would
yeah,
like that.
like I know like I've not like been the biggest Chisholm fan, but it's all due to health. It has nothing to do with talent. Like I think he's one of the most talented, players in baseball, and he's just so damn fun to watch. I don't know if it was you or somebody else that was talking about with me that he
His
apparently is
teammates
not a
don't like
good.
him.
The teammates don't like him. I don't get why, but that's fine. Like, bring him up. Like, bring him to San Francisco. I have no problem. I'm sure maybe it's they just don't like
There's
the
enough
name.
veterans there that if there are some things to maybe, and I'm not saying there
Right.
is. I don't know. Maybe they're assholes and Jazz is chill. Like, so
This is the
I'm not
first we're
taking a
hearing
side.
about. Like, I
Yeah,
mean, it's not like
exactly.
Chisholm's. This is Chisholm's 5th year in the league. Like, and this is the first time we're hearing kind of these comments of like he's not a good clubhouse guy, but he's made some really interesting changes too in terms of like dropping the strikeout rate 5%, which in doing that, like he's added to his own contact and dropped the swing and strike rate. He's become more aggressive in the zone. So like I think there's a lot of stuff to be really really love about Chisholm. The question is like, can he stay healthy? He's not been able to stay healthy over the course of his career. I mean, right now we're talking about a guy who is already like his second most amount of plate appearances in a single season. So like the only one where he's able to make it to 124 games was 2021, and so I'm a little skeptical about the health still, but I mean talent wise, I'd love to see him in San Francisco. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be other places looking to try to like bring him in. Everybody can use a guy who can play center. So I'm very, very intrigued. I'm just hoping the Dodgers don't end up with him because like that would be devastating for me.
That'd be nuts. Yeah, because there's 2 more years too, and there's just so much talent. And it could be as simple as like his attitude just doesn't go well with that group of guys, right?
Yeah.
Because I also don't know, is it like 25 against 1, right? I don't know much here. I don't know much of any. I don't know how true any of this is.
He seems like a really happy-go-lucky guy, and maybe when you're losing, that doesn't jive well with a team. Like,
What am I gonna do?
want you to
Cry
be more,
every day though?
yeah, be more serious, or like I don't know, but
And it is funny that you say that though. And listen, none of my athletics have ever mattered. Let's be clear about that. But I have had an issue before where I think I would try to go harder on myself when something would go wrong,
yeah,
just so nobody thought that I didn't understand like the mistake I made or whatever. Maybe to avoid that, what you're talking about, where like Jazz always has an upbeat attitude. Like of course it sucks that they're losing and he doesn't like that, but I don't think he's like glad about it. But again, what's he gonna do? Be pissed all the time? Like be Tommy Pham? Right? Like that doesn't work for everybody. That wears people out. Tommy Pham can handle it because he's Tommy Pham, being angry 24/7. So yeah, if it's something like that, then I'm definitely going to side with Jazz. But I don't know. It's light rumors. I have no idea what it is, but it seems like he's like close to gone, and partly because that he's not well liked. And hey, I don't think the Tigers are making a move like this, but if he's available, at least give him a call. I will trade.
I mean, yeah,
I don't know. I'll trade some pitching.
You're talking about
they don't need pitching.
26 in his 5th season
with
as
2 more
pro,
years.
With 2 more years of control, like that, like yeah, like I know he's not like the best center fielder in the world, but like that can play center, can play the middle infield as well.
He could get better too with time, right?
Yeah.
Like I know defense ages down in the grand scheme. That is
but
undeniable.
we've seen guys like Marcus Simeon like turn around their defensive profile at like
Brandon Nimmo was a
yeah.
dreadful center fielder, and they kept him out there, kept grinding, kept working, had some positive seasons now.
Bet on the athlete when you bet. When you're betting on a guy, like if he's a really good athlete, I do want to bet on him. Like this is why
totally agree.
Joe Adele keeps finding jobs, right? So like,
well, he's had the same job, but keeps getting called up and getting picked by all of us fantasy folks. All right, let's go a bit deeper. Let's pop outside the top 30 here for somebody who's going to be inside the top 20 in the second half.
Ooh, the easy answers are guys that have done it before. So like,
so start looking at the ADP number and go small.
Like Luis Robert, like he's a top 10 outfielder.
Where's he play?
Of the last 30 days, like I think he's a Dodger. Like I for sure think he's a Dodger. Like I'd love to see him like go somewhere else, but like the Dodgers just make way too much sense.
Yeah. Are they going to get Crochet with him?
That would kill me. Like
It'd
that
be
would
such a nightmare, dude. But
I would
like, it makes
I
all the sense in the world for them to do
I'd
the.
lose my mind. Yeah, I mean
Oh,
the
hey,
dot.
I got a recording error on my end.
Oh no,
That seems bad.
no, we should be fine. We should be okay.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
I'll make it work. So,
Okay. Sorry.
um,
Anyway, but yeah, Robert.
yeah.
So you think getting traded could surge excuse
I
me,
mean,
help him have a surge in the second half?
he's already surging. Like I
Yeah,
said,
like you
over the
said.
last 30 days, he's a top 10 outfielder. So like he's a guy like that. I think is a pretty easy bet. If you're looking for guys who like weren't like kind of pegged as like top 10 guys, that could be like I know Wyatt Langford has been like kind of a quiet like debut, but like he hasn't been bad. Like he's actually been
Exactly.
fine. And over the last 30 days, he's a top 20 outfielder. Like I just feel like there is a breakout coming for him. And like he's in a good organization to kind of do that. They're committed to him. Like hits the ball so damn hard and like hits it with like
He
kind
does.
of in the perfect launch angle, and he makes a ton of contact in the zone. Like he does everything right, and I feel like there is like a huge second half potential coming for a guy like Wyatt Langford
You
as
know,
he continues to adjust to Major League Baseball.
I absolutely love that call out. You know who else does a lot of what you said? You said one pivotal thing there where I couldn't say, "Oh, you're also describing this guy," and it was the contact piece, which I know is probably why you still might not be bought in on this guy. But I love y'all's boy Elliot Ramos. Dude, you talk
Yeah,
about smacking the piss out of the ball, dude. 50% hard hit, 16% barrel, 14 homers, 296 average. Why wouldn't I like that? Are you still modest on him?
yeah. I mean, he has gotten better in terms of the contact ability as kind of the season has gone on, and so I'm less I'm less discouraged than I was before. I'll say that
Okay.
it's still 82%, which is below league average, but that's fine if you keep smacking the ball.
Yeah.
And he's playing center field, which is not something I thought he would ever be able to do at the major league level. And
Mm-hmm.
the Giants seem committed to him, so I'm kind of coming on board late with Ramos
Okay.
because the Giants seem committed to him. I'll be interested to see what the Giants do at the trade deadline to kind of bolster that team if they are going to be buyers like they seem to be wanting to be at
Yeah.
this point. Obviously, like if they like lose like their first two series out of the breaks, that could definitely change. But right now, it sounds like they want to be buyers, and uh, I just worry that like the contact skills will come back to haunt him at some point. He does not have a very good hit tool. But like if he can kind of keep doing what he's doing, like gotta kind of just go with it,
Give
right?
me that pop. Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
Elliot Ramos smacking the piss out of the ball. I like Matos too. I like both these guys. But
I
I'm a
like Matos
prospect.
a lot. Yeah.
I'm a prospect pedigree dweeb. So, Wagenhagen writes them up nice, or I read them somewhere else, and I start falling for them early. I try to stick with them for a while, so we'll see how Matos and Ramos do. I'm not advocating to go out and get Matos the way I am Ramos. I just like both. I want to be clear on that
Mhm.
delineation there. Okay, let's wrap it up with give me a long shot. Outside the top 100 so far, going to be inside the top 30 in the second half.
Outside the top 100.
Yep.
All right,
There's some names here. I mean, even 100, which you couldn't use because it has to be outside the top 100, but even 100 is Michael Harris. And I know you would not pick him, but I'm saying there's some names down here. You ever heard of this Mike T. Route guy? He's from the
Mike T. Route.
he's from the
Yeah.
La team.
Oh man, there's a number of guys that are somewhat interesting
Yeah,
here.
there are some interesting names here.
Well, actually, sorry, I was still sorted by the last 30 days. So let me see if I can get. All right, so let's see. I mean, this is
I got some
one.
names if you want me to.
Go ahead. Why don't you give me some names and like, because I
Okay.
do have names like that, like Lawrence Butler, like is a top
Yeah.
10 outfielder over the last 30 days.
Well, he's been
I
great.
don't believe in the skills though.
Wait, why not?
Dude does not make a lot of in zone contact. Like he
No,
hits
no,
the
no.
ball
That.
super effing hard.
Oh yeah, we did talk about him, and we said we
Yeah,
would talk about him more in the outfield. That's the thing, though. Don't you love how hard he hits the ball?
I do, but like you've got to hit it consistently to like I think he's one of these guys like that can go on these massive hot streaks and then
Yeah,
disappear. Which we've
yeah.
seen from him already, like over the course of the first couple years of his career. So like he's not a guy that I'm like he's a guy that I would ride the hot streaks with. Like I picked him up. He was one of my most picked up players last weekend in Fab, mostly because I'm like just hoping he can continue the hot streak out of the break. But like I
Hmm.
don't know that I actually believe that he will. Like a guy like I have like a better feel about is Lars Nootbaar, who missed a lot of
Hey,
season with
it's on my
injury.
list, you little
Um,
jerk.
high contact guy has looked better recently. I think he's still widely available in like 10-team leagues, like because people dropped him with him missing time. So like, yeah, Nootbaar is like a guy that I'd be more interested in.
Same.
My boy TJ Friedel, like if he ever gets
Okay.
healthy, it's just been kind of a lost season with injuries. But
Let me
like,
throw in Jake Fraley with that since it's the same team.
sure,
Also injuries, but I love him, and we've always linked those two together. When they're playing, I still like both, and you know, Fraley's just debuted. Didn't he debut? Am I wrong? Did
but
he not have his season debut recently?
who?
Fraley. Oh no,
I
he's played a
thought he,
bunch. I'm an
yeah,
idiot. I'm
yeah,
an
yeah.
idiot, dude. 68 games. Yeah, he has 12 steals, only one homer. I don't know where the power is, but yeah. And then Friedel, how long is he? Is he still out?
He's out again, I believe.
Yeah.
But I believe he's supposed to be back here pretty soon after the break. So,
Okay. Okay.
um,
Eyeing July
uh,
26th return. Yep. Okay.
yeah.
So if
So,
Friedel and Fraley, now they would bump into each other, so then playing time becomes an issue. But I like both those guys still.
yeah.
Oh, we got to talk some Reese Hines. I don't think we talked about him. We have to, and I know he's not an outfield. Did we talk about him at short?
We
We were
talked about
supposed
him a
to.
little bit at short. I mean,
Okay.
like
Never
Hines
mind
is
then if we
another one
talked
of these
about him then.
guys. Hines is like he's very Lawrence Butler-ish, which
That's
made
true.
Fab really, really interesting. Because he's got loud tools, except for he doesn't have a hit tool.
Yeah.
And so like he can go on these stretches where I think would he hit 5 home runs or something like that.
In like 8 games.
Yeah, like and so like he can go on these stretches where you go like, oh my god, this is a stud, and then you drop $200 with Fab on him. He's back in the minor leagues in a month.
Yeah.
So like I think you want to be these are the kind of guys like you want to get for cheap, and not the kind of guys you want to spend a crap ton of money on because their volatility is so huge they can end up back in the minors really easily.
Totally agree. You do have to be careful with these types buying high, right? Like if you weren't in on
Mm-hmm.
Butler earlier because of the barrel rates and all that, buying him after the 3 homer game is not your best decision because you're going to pay that premium. And a guy like that, like Butler and Hines, they're just not going to stay hot because they do not make enough contact. Like this is guaranteed. It's not naysaying, it's not wet blanketing. It is a lock. It's the way baseball works. These guys always come back down. And the easiest comparison was, of course, I was calling him Reese Steedes Heinz Kino, because I mean he looks exactly like Aristides Aquino, which was awesome, by the way. That was such a sick run. I love
Mm-hmm.
Aristides Aquino for that. But we saw what happened when you don't make enough contact. Newtbar was one of mine. So was Fraley. Guys with Fraley hasn't shown the power this year, but has the speed. Newt Bar kind of does a bit of everything and brings good OBP, which doesn't help in non-OBP leagues, but at least still keeps you on base scoring runs. Like there is still value to it, and he can hit for good average like when he's really going. He is a good bat. I'm not sure if I had
Well,
anybody else here. Go
I'll
ahead.
throw a couple more names at you. Two prospects that have recently kind of come up:
Yeah.
Heston Kjerstad
Yep.
and James Wood. Like
Love
I
both.
don't know what both playing time situations be. I think Wood is just going to play
Wood has to
until
play, right? Come on.
yeah. But Kjerstad, like he's one of these guys. Like he's on the Orioles, and they've shown like they will just not play guys.
Yeah.
However, like he was super super hot until getting hit in the head prior to the All-Star break. Like if Kjerstad could just find playing time, like he could be really really interesting in that dynamic Baltimore offense. James Wood is just uber talented,
So
and like
good.
I think he's going to be really really good. And the only reason like he might be a problem is if he does struggle, like that would give the Nationals the ability to send him back down and preserve his rookie eligibility for next
True.
year. So,
But you take the chance in every format with
yeah.
James Wood.
Absolutely. Then, like a guy who used to be a really interesting prospect, I don't think he was ever a top prospect, but on the Nationals, Juan Yepez. Yepez was like super, super hot all of a sudden. Joey
Remember
Gallo,
the Arizona Fall League run that he made?
But I mean, he was super hot this year in the major leagues.
Like, no, I have him.
And like, and he's first base eligible. We talked about how bad first base is. The question is, what happens with Yepez when Joey Gallo comes back?
He has a hit in all 10 games that he's played, including 4 multi-hit games. If he loses playing time to Joey freaking Gallo,
I hope not. But it's the Nationals; you never really know what they're gonna do.
Come on, he has to play.
I would
put Gallo back in the outfield. When's Gallo coming back from a strained hamstring?
Their outfield, he should be back pretty soon, I think. Their outfield isn't as easy to like just put someone in the moment when you've got James Wood up, right? Like now that James Wood is there, like you've got Lane Thomas. I mean, I guess Jacob Young doesn't necessarily need to play.
But then who plays center?
Gallo. Gallo can play center.
Does he still play center? I mean, I know he has.
I mean, I think he can.
I don't know care. If he is currently. They're in contention. What are you talking about? They don't care. They have to play straight up. They have to play the best players, and the best player is Juan Yepez right now.
I agree, but
I don't see how Gallo's 75 OPS plus has to get back in the lineup. It was 101 last year. I'm not going to say like I'm not just using this year to cherry pick and say like, oh, he sucks, but like it was 79 the year before. So add it all up, you're looking at a guy who's like in the 80s generously with his OPS plus output lately. I'll take my shot on Yepez, who actually puts contact to the ball. Love what he's been doing. That's a great call out there, by the way, because he has enough pop that with a big batting average, he could storm all the way up the
Lane Thomas has played some center this year. So I mean,
okay, there you go. Then
he's only 3 games, but like, I mean,
maybe they'd be comfortable putting him in there, but they can't take Yepez out. Is my point.
I don't think they should.
His hits in all 10 games.
I agree.
Let me see. Swinging and fielding grounders for Gallo, by the way, as of July 9th.
Right.
So yeah, he's working his way back.
He's probably
to sit on the damn bench.
Yeah, probably.
But all right, that's gonna wrap it up for outfield because I gotta get going. I gotta record with Nick right after. I'm cheating on you. Actually, I went with you first, so I'm not.
Yeah, no, and I already talked to Nick today. So
son of a.
I mean, it wasn't for a podcast. It was just
okay.
But yeah, so
lucky you.
Yeah, I mean, it's always great to talk to Nick. He's one of my favorite people.
And I'm gonna go do that right now. Talk some pitching. We will be back tomorrow. We will be talking pitching. We'll do a little review of starting pitcher and then give the 2-start outlook, kind of 3-start outlook for some guys, right? Because a lot of leagues are going to be combining. Actually, I don't know how that's going to work.
No, I don't think they combine. I mean, I guess maybe
no. I think head-to-head leagues definitely.
Yeah,
do.
maybe head-to-head leagues. Yeah. So but yeah, we'll focus on the 2 starts.
We'll focus on the 2 starts starting with Monday of next week. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, I'll talk to you later, Justin.
Take it easy.